In this lesson, we will learn about additional DNS settings. First of all, we will learn about DNS cache. Then we will configure Wireshark capture to see the different behaviors when we configure the DNS server to use root hints and forwarders. And finally, we sum up our lesson with the keynotes. Let's learn about DNS cache. As you may know, DNS cache is a local file stored on clients or DNS servers, which helps resolving a DNS name to an IP address faster. A client always attempts to resolve a DNS name by looking up the information in its cache first. If not found, it will query its DNS server. The DNS server also tries to resolve the query by using the information in its cache first. If not found, it checks in its DNS zones or queries its upper DNS server depending on the domain being queried. After having the results, the DNS server stored the information in its cache and answers the client. Upon receiving the answer, the client also updates its cache with the answer for the future uses. In troubleshooting DNS issues, we may need to know the records stored in the cache of the DNS server. To do that, we need to click on the DNS server name and click on View and then Advanced. As you can see, the cache lookups folder show up. For example, to see the DNS records of google.com domain stored in the cache of this DNS server, we need to click on the cache lookup folder and click on the .root and com and Google. As you can see, these are the records for google.com domain this DNS server will use to answer the related queries. To clear the cache, we need to right-click on the DNS server name and select Clear Cache. As you can see, all the DNS records stored in the cache of this DNS server are gone. Let's learn about forwarders and root hints. As you may know, a DNS server can be configured with forwarders or root hints to resolve the queries for unauthoritative domains. When configured with forwarders, the DNS server will send recursive queries to an upper DNS server listed in the forwarders. When configured with root hints, the DNS server will send iterative queries to a root DNS server listed in the root hints. For high performance, configured DNS servers with forwarders and use root hints if no forwarders are available. Let's check to see if this DNS server is currently configured to use forwarders or root hints to resolve public DNS records. To do that, we need to right-click on the DNS server name and click on Properties, then click on Forwarders tab. As you can see, the Forwarders tab is empty, which means it's currently use root hints to resolve public DNS records. Let's use Wireshark capture to see how this DNS server resolves www.google.com DNS name to an IP address. Please note that we have just cleared the cache on the server, so the server must perform the DNS name resolution to answer the query. To do that, we first need to do the filter for DNS in the Wireshark capture, then click on the Ethernet connection. Now we need to open the client, and we also need to clear the cache on the client by using the command ipconfigure / DNS, then hit enter. To make the client query for www.google.com, we just need to ping it and we get the result. Let's now analyze the results. As you can see, upon receiving the query from the client, the local DNS server contacted one of the root DNS servers listed in the root hints for the IP address of www.google.com. The root hints DNS server then answer the local DNS server with the list of the authoritative name servers for the .com domain along with their IP addresses. The local DNS server then contacted one of the authoritative name servers for the .com domain for the IP address of www.google.com. The authoritative name server for the .com domain then answer the local DNS server with the list of the authoritative name servers for the google.com domain along with their IP addresses. The local DNS server then contacted one of the authoritative name server for the google.com domain for the IP address of www.google.com. The authoritative name server for the google.com domain then answers the local DNS server with the list of the IP addresses for www.google.com. And as you can see, this is the IP address returned to the client from the local DNS server. Let's configure this local DNS server to use Google DNS Server as the forwarders. To do that, we need to right-click on the DNS server name, then click on Properties. Here we click on Forwarders tab and click on Edit. And now we type the Google DNS Server IP address 8.8.8.8, then click OK. Then click OK. Now to see how the local DNS server gets the answer for the client by using the folders, we need to clear the cache. To do that, we need to right-click on the DNS server name and click on Clear Cache. That's it. To perform the analysis, let's start a new Wireshark capture by clicking on the blue button and open the client and clear cache on the client. Then ping www.google.com. That's it. Let's now analyze the results. As you can see, upon receiving the query from the client, the local DNS server contacted the Google DNS server configured in the folders for the IP address of www.google.com. The Google DNS server then returned to the local DNS server with the list of IP addresses for www.google.com. And as you can see, this is the IP address returned to the client by the local DNS server. Let's now check on the cache for the google.com domain in the local DNS server. To do that, we need to click on .root, then click on com, then click on Google. As you can see, here are all the DNS records for google.com domain stored in the cache of the local DNS server. We can also view the cache stored in the client. To do that, we need to issue the command ipconfigure space / displace DNS, then hit enter. As you can see, here are all the DNS records stored in the cache of the client. This is the end of this lesson. Let's read the keynotes.